Hey, what's up guys? It's Trim here. I am going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to bring you an Ancestors the Humankind Odyssey video. I know it's much different from our usual Yu-Gi-Oh videos, but as I said, my content isn't going to be one type of game. It's just going to be whatever I find interesting at the moment. So with that said, let's jump right into our Ancestors review. Is this game worth a buy? Depends on what your expectations for it going into it are. Yes, it is a great exploration and survival game. If you expect any sort of story or thrilling, engaging combat, you are not going to get that in this game. And some of the things that we're going to talk about do get quite repetitive. So this is how the game begins. We get a little bit of a fish, and we go up here to eat it. And then tragedy struck. So the game begins with your mother dying. You are a little baby chimpanzee thrust into this big scary world full of predators, and so your fear right now is playing on you. You don't know what's going on, you don't know where to go, what to do. All you know is you've just lost your mom and you are now alone in this world. You have to use your senses to survive. Those can range from hearing, vision, smell, and using those senses will gain you abilities that you can use to level up other skills and gain kind of perks that you can use later in the game. And the more you use those, the more they level up. So shortly after that, you are transported into the mind of another member of your clan, and you are tasked with going down and hunting the baby that is now hiding. Using your senses, you have to find him. So right now I'm using hearing, and if I get a little closer, I can focus on it, identify it, and now that I've used my senses, I've found that the source of the noise that I was hearing is in fact the little baby that we were searching for. So now that he has rejoined us, your first instinct is going to be to go and take him back to, your clan's home base. But if you take him back to the clan home base, you basically just drop him off there, and then your journey begins. So you are thrust into this world. You have no idea how to survive, but you have to just kind of figure that out on your own, which is something the game takes a lot of pride in, the fact that they don't tell you anything. And personally, I love that aspect of it. I love the fact that they don't hold your hand, that you have to figure things out. You have to learn, what plants to eat that aren't poisonous. You have to learn what plants are medicinal, what plants will protect you from cold weather, where you can hide if you need to hide from predators. And so, as you can see, using my vision, it just increased my intelligence. So your first thought would be to bring the baby back to your clan. However, you actually gain more experience from carrying the babies on your back and teaching them how the world works, essentially. But, however, doing this does come with risks. If you run into like a predator, for instance, you will be at risk of losing, both, yourself and the baby. And the babies actually have a super important function in this game. So the general gameplay loop of this game is going to involve basically bonding, with members of the opposite genders so that you guys can form a bond and have babies. The primary way that you form bond is by grooming each other. So once you get this bonding meter up, you become a couple, and you are then able to have babies. Each female is able to have up to 2 babies before she becomes infertile. And the babies, why I say they become important is because the more babies you have, the more perks you unlock in this neuronal perk tree. And, I think that's a really cool way of leveling up and getting perks. The downside to this perk system is you can only keep a limited number of upgrades when you advance into the next generation. So when you're... Basically, that is depending on how many babies you actually have. So if you have 4 babies, you can keep 4 perks and pass those on to the next generation. And in general, the more generations you go through before you evolve, the more amount of experience you're going to get to go towards that evolution, so you can pass through the years faster and faster. So you end up going into this gameplay loop where you want to send out your elders who can't breed anymore to explore because it's the most dangerous. If you are comfortable with it, when you get comfortable with the combat system, it becomes a little bit irrelevant just because it doesn't matter who you send, and you'll have babies with you so you can gain experience, you can level up faster. And that's kind of the general gameplay loop, is you go out, you explore, you accomplish, just random things, and through those accomplishments you gain experience. When you gain enough experience, you can evolve here. And when you evolve, the goal is basically to evolve faster than science from 10 million years ago, and you want to, get all the way up to like 2 million years ago. Different things that you do will have different kind of modifiers for this. So if you, let's say you intimidate a rock python or you kill a saber-tooth, those things will gain you, more years that you can advance faster with, if that makes sense. And then there are also things that will negatively impact, how fast you evolve. So if you have any deaths, if any of your clan members die, that negatively impacts how fast you evolve and how fast you will get through this game. You will have a lot of deaths at first until you get the hang of the combat system. And as you guys might have guessed, getting good with the combat does entail learning how to create weapons. You cannot fight back unless you learn how to create weapons. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that making a spear just takes hitting a stick with a rock. And then you can use that spear against your enemies. Alright guys, so this is how the combat works. They are going to charge at you. You are going to get ready and release the button when you hear the audio cue, and you will counterattack. Done properly, you will never get hit, you will never take damage, and depending on what your skills and stuff are, they will either run away or you will kill them. Both actually are feats, which you can use to level up. That is kind of how the combat system works. Unfortunately, it is not the best. I was hoping for something more similar to like Far Cry Primal, where you could just make spears and throw them at the enemy. Unfortunately, it's very, very simplistic in this game, and we don't see a lot. So if you were hoping for a deep combat system, this game is not going to be the game for you. Now, the next point of contention I have is that, aside from just trying to advance, there's not much of a story. I guess it would be hard to do a story, though I still feel like even like a primitive one like Far Cry Primal attempted to do would improve the game in some ways. In its current state, it is a good survival game, like simulator. It is a good exploration game, even if there's not a whole lot to actually find when you explore. As you go and advance kind of through the generations and through as you evolve, you will unlock more and more areas of the map, which all have different animals, and each one of those areas of the map presents their own unique challenge that you will have to deal with. So if that's your kind of thing, you guys love exploration, kind of the style of like No Man's Sky, I would say go for it. But otherwise, it's hard for me to recommend this game in its current state. I think the combat needs a lot of work. If the combat was more action combat, I think it would have resonated better with a lot of people. The game is still very original. It is definitely one of the most original games I've ever played. I just think that it's got a lot of potential. It just doesn't quite live up to it. I would love to see maybe a little bit of a storyline, some improved combat for sure. If they added, just some little things like that, this game could go, from being sort of mediocre to being a good game. And I look forward to seeing what they do with Volume 2. Hopefully Volume 2 will kind of improve on some of these things. Unfortunately, it's like, at this point, once you learn the combat system, there is no danger in the world. You are free to just travel around on the ground and, nothing will hurt you. I would also like to see more variety in some of the animals and some of the different kinds of wildlife you can find. Even like, in plants and that sort of thing. Once you get injured in combat and you have to look for a plant that helps against bleeding damage, or it helps with broken bones, that sort of thing. There's not much else that you really need, and pretty much those are the only actual medicinal plants that I've come across. The crafting system in this game also is not the best. You can craft some things, like very primitive weapons, as you can see that I've already done. You can craft like little barricades for your base that makes it harder for predators to attack your clan members, and you can craft beds for your clan members to sleep in, and where you can mate and that sort of thing. That's the only real use I've found for crafting in this game. I would like to see that expanded upon in later releases as well, hopefully be made, just a little more useful. Alright guys, well that is my review of Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey. Let me know if you guys agree, if you disagree, if you guys just kind of want to discuss the game in general. I am more than happy to. Alright, I will see you guys next time.